Uncle Junior, Harlem K, James. I'm doing better now that I've figured out how to get this freaking working. So James, this is a visual novel. I'll wait for a few more people to come in before I talk about it. Wait for people to get back. Hey, Blathering. This is very much a story game. It's a visual novel. Hungry recommendations. Hey, Dana. I don't know, pizza. A little more Irishmen. Well done. Nice to see other people. Oh, yeah, I backed it on Kickstarter. I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet. So, yeah, it's taken me forever to get around to it. Hey, waiting. Cuphead? No, Cuphead's way too hard for me. Are you serious, Ugly Hobo? You're kidding me! Okay, I gotta look that up. Hey, Dandy. Give me a second, I'm looking that up just because. Yeah, I got it. I don't see it there. Hey, Exa. Do you have a link to that? Mons, yeah, we will be playing. Just hearing that I apparently made it onto friggin' news. That's wild. Steph, what game is this? This is Our Life Beginnings and Always. It is a visual novel. Okay. Spread across, I have no idea. So yeah, it's a game spread across 15 years, where it's basically your relationship with with your cute autistic neighbor boy. Hey, Karina. I will say, okay, so being featured, if I was on MSN, that would explain why I got so many likes and comments on that tweet. Yes, I do have all the DLC as well. I will say, if MSN was going to feature me, really wish they would have asked me permission first. Yeah, it's just, if you're going to feature somebody, ask permission. Like if you're going to feature somebody's tweet, ask permission. Because not everybody is going to want their mentions absolutely exploding. Hey, cat. Yeah. Alright. Alright, so we got a nice chunk of viewers in here, so may as well get going. Tutorial, hurrah! Welcome to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. Customization. Step 1, childhood. Step 2, adolescence. Step 3, young adulthood. Step 4, adulthood. Shut up, Ben. Nick. I'm actually gonna block you because of that name. Oh, hello, Louise. Our life is further divided into sets of vignettes that take place during specific periods of time. Those are called moments. Can be played in any order or skipped entirely. I'll be playing them all. Steps 1 to 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some right now, and other DLCs will be released later on. Oh, and hello, barbecue chicken. Step 4 is an epilogue. It doesn't include it. Okay. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character. Name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. Hey, Kayla. Was I just speaking too loud, Irishman? You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered at one set. Much of the MC's basic traits are determined on a character creation screen. As the MC grows up, more options become available on the screen. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voice names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story. Only the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voice name expansion DLC. Oh, may as well go with Jamie as my character name then. Character creation, there's a cute doll you can decorate. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing once we get to it. One love interest, Cove Holden. Except for DLCs. It is not bariatric. In fairness, Dandy, Chantel did beat me to it. She did get, she got her own spotlight article on BuzzFeed a couple years back. So Chantel did beat me to it. Pizza with feta spinach, garlic, herb, cream cheese. Ugh. No thanks. That was okay, Exa. Not dead kids, Irishman, no. It was for talking about the cult. The Heaven's Gate cult. Yeah, it was for eating cheese while talking about the Heaven's Gate cult. It was weird, in fairness. So, yeah. Like, it was a weird-ass thing. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Nick. No racial names like that. Cove creator? No, I'm not doing Cove creator. I'm making this. All right. Yeah, sure, last name. Last for last name, sure, why not? Alright. Face shape. Go with round. Skin tone. Go with peachy. Eye shape. Let's go with a rectangle. Eye color, brown. Hair front. Let's see. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, yeah, I did make. Screw it, why not? Why not, Jimmy? Why not? Third my identical thing. Hair back. Lion's mane. Medium. Black and black, why not? Ah, yes. So. Now is the big decision. I'm inclined to go with she. Partly because I prefer to play a girl, partly because, you know, a straight relationship is just going to be more appealing to me personally than a gay one. But as a guy, I kind of feel like a male voice would just, like, having the voice I do, because the main character is not voiced. So I feel like, I don't know. No. Nah. Freckles, nah. Hand size, let's go slender. Glasses, I'm going with none. No, Icky. I never played Animal Crossing. Watch. You know what? Let's go with they. They and yeah. A little bit Irishman, but
Jamie.
Freckles, Yeah. Alright, people want Freckles, I'll put Freckles. And, Gren? Shit, I don't remember Gren. Which one was Gren? You have Freckles. Fair. Alright. So I think, I'm fine with this character. Saxophone guy. It's been a while since I've seen, I think it's just been too long since I've watched, the anime Cowboy Bebop. Both men and... I kinda remember that. Bye, cat. Option for lashes? I don't think so. Nah, nothing for lashes. Alright, so I think my character's ready. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. Gaze, I'm not on any yet. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved, or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. I'm not on any estrogen. I'm not on any estrogen yet, Irishman. I'm gonna be anxious. They still smiled at you anyway. That made you feel a little more comfortable. But today, there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever, or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your moms called it. So, for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom's had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. Let's go with this one. They mentioned that some people aren't good to talk to, but other types of people can help you, even if you don't know them. Except, yeah, it's a nice soundtrack. Turn down the volume because it's a little bit louder than I'd like, but let's unscotus, they suck. Jessica, my character has they pronouns. You weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your front door. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen. But it was too late to escape. No, Irishman, it is not. There was a split second where your eyes met and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Hey! His voice startled you and made you jump, but still you didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gatepost, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. There's no sex scenes in this game, Dandy. None that I'm aware of. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Your whole body was frozen in place as he approached. Why not?
Oh, there we go.
Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tan skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. Yeah, I live here. That's great! He looked happy to hear it, giving you a broad smile. Alright, Irishman. There are worse comments, I suppose. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Okay, yeah, this part's definitely creepy. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him.
Well...
Could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have... Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age. Okay, yeah. Cove, that seemed like a strange name for an actual living person to you. But definitely the kind of name someone like this guy would give their kid. We moved in across the street. See? Sort of achy. He gestured toward the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Jamie. You must be Jamie Last, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8, just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips to the corners. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Just give it a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like it.
Do you mind?
But you've got to keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. Did other kids really get their parents to pay for friendships? Yeah, that's weird. Had your mom's done that for you and Lizzie? The thought made you frown. What do you say? Want to make a deal? Give me a second here. The music is a little bit louder than I'd like. Turn the music down just a bit so that voices can be heard more easily. I'm 8 years old. Of course I'm taking the $20. Duh. You carefully plucked the bill from his outstretched hand, grinning at the thoughts of what you could do with that much cash. The music's good, Killface. It's a little bit loud, I feel like, so. To be fair, Irishman, this guy's already talked to my moms. They're not dating, Nikki. It's spread out across multiple years. It's spread out across like 15 years. So yeah, this game, you start at 8, but it's spread across 15 years. So obviously you're not dating at 8, but in the future you can. Stuffed animal or library card. Stuffed animal or not sure. Stuffed animal or not sure. Library card supposed to... I know, like, what the hell? Why does the library card cost money? Duh. You weren't even sure yet. The sky was the limit with that kind of amount. The man smiled at you, his eyes crinkling at the sides as he did. Great! That's great. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gone off to. He laughed when he said that, but the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? He's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss him. Okay. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew that, but you were still going to help. Sims? Nah. Not interested in the Sims. Killface? It's a visual novel. It's all conversations. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead. Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought you might come back and... that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Jamie. So much. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1. First sight. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. You love to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagined living far beneath the waves. Realistically, this one is me. Don't enjoy the beach at all. Sometimes you could almost convince yourself you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There is a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. Ooh, pretty song. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have... They could. Huge glasses. But this new boy did. You watched as he pushed them up the bridge of his nose with a finger. Red eyes. His father just bribed me to be his friend, so... Yeah, loser. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. It is neither, gaze. This is a... God damn it, this is a wholesome game, guys. This is a wholesome story. Stop being creepy, people. It's a nice, sweet, wholesome story. Hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his side. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. Aww. You'd obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. Cove? Ah! Eyes wide, he studied you. How do you know that? You touched the money in your pocket, feeling it crinkle beneath your fingertips. I met your dad.
Oh.
So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. I mean, technically you can own a hill. Yeah, sorry, let me see if I can... Is there... How do I change my camera's position? I want to see if I can change my camera's position. Maybe this one will work better. Give me a second. There we go. Alright, this might work a bit better. You shook your head. While doing so, you also picked at a strand of lint in your leg. What a weird question to ask someone. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Sure, why'd your family move? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they'd never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. Aw, poor kid. My parents, they don't want to live together with me anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. He's 8, Jimmy. And autistic. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. I'm sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. You felt bad for him, being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Jamie!
Cove?
Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. You can handle it. And even if you can't, he's your dad, right? Yeah, he is. Dusting the grass off of your pants, you stood up. So you didn't come here by yourself, or with a stranger. He's got to take care of you no matter what. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove! Can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not bandaged arm.
Sorry.
I still don't want to go. You waited silently with him. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could answer, you heard Cove's dad, even closer than before. There you are, bud! The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you, and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Jamie, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. No, we were just sitting in the grass. Both moms? Yep. 2 moms. I don't think that there's I doubt it, Piss and Vinegar. I think they're probably both, I'm guessing they're probably both cis women, but I think it probably doesn't matter either. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his Tad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. You shrugged. He's new here. He was okay. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief.
Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Jamie knows this area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper play date tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? It sounds like words. Cove is 8. You nodded, ducking your head down. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you toward the path. Satisfied, and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Cove. Gonna go with relaxed. And why not fond? Indifferent is the most you can. But that feels mean. He seems like a nice kid. Cove seems like a nice kid, you know? Won't be able to change it. Nah. Nervous fond. Nervous fond. That sounds good. I mean, his parents divorced and he moved away from his home and all his old friends, and he's had a bad time. He's having a bad time. No, Dandy, we will not be seeing that movie. No, Samoa. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excited to see your new friend again, Jamie? Okay, that's a creepy smile, Mom. That is... like... I'm not wrong. That smile is creepy, right? She's got, like... yeah, she's got serial killer smile going there. You nodded, smiling slightly.
How sweet.
I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? This is just how she looks. Your bowl was entirely empty, so you nodded. Mm-hmm. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then, on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Jamie, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey, last family, thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mommy behind you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Do you want to see my room?
Okay. Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. You leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Thank you. You're welcome. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. The room was kind of cool. Oh yeah, it's a cool room. I'll ask about it if I get a chance, Jimmy. You started to feel a bit nervous. You wanted to say something, but didn't know what, so you let him keep looking. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it, before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. Yeah! You gestured to a piece of the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Why is this hair teal? I'm guessing chlorine in the womb.
Neat.
This is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Ah! Shiloh is coming over. Shiloh? My sister's friend. He wants to, meet you. Do I have to see him? It'll be okay. I think. Aishin, yes. I did say chlorine in the womb turned his hair teal. That's my theory. Here, I found this shell in a log, and you pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. No, Jai. Cis refers to gender identity. It means you identify with the gender you were assigned at birth. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Your voice faltered a little bit, but you kept going as best as you could. You were really proud of your shell collection, and it made you happy that Cove was interested in it too. Apparently fascinated, either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then, while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a choice to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. 100% of something. Yep. Mr. Holden might be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. Great! Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait for Shiloh. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. You can take it. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? Uh-huh, but I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. You insisted. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now, maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, he figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. I'm sorry, there's nowhere to go. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, you stepped forward, then paused. I'll come with you. Hurry, they'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of you made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to clamber out, but by the time you landed gently in the bushes, you looked up to see that Cove was already taking off away from the house. He was not that fast. You knew you could outrun him if you had to. Cove! You ran as fast as your legs would take you, grass whipping around your ankles as you did so. Cautiously, Cove slowed to a halt and looked back at you. Where are you going? I don't know. Somewhere else. I just don't want to see... Jamie! You looked back and saw Shiloh huffing down the hill after you, the backpack he clutched bouncing all around along the way. What are you doing? Can I come? He must have seen you leaving out the window and followed behind.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Are you Cove? Okay, Shiloh looks like a dork.
Yeah.
I'm Shiloh. Okay. Yep. Are we going back, or are we going to play outside? Shiloh's eyes moved between you and Cove. The smile remained strong on his face. It got a tiny frown from Cove in response. You were just grateful he hadn't asked why you had been running away. Inside. We left the box on the floor. Yeah, I want to check. I hope Mommy didn't move them. With Shiloh trailing behind, you and Cove headed back toward the house. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach thing some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. You held out a recent find to Cove, a scallop shell that had washed up on shore. It's a pretty color, kinda like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Damn, Cove! Harsh!
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green. Or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
I like those colors too. Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach. Probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards you. There's a park? Yep, but it's old. The kid's Irishman. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Jamie? The park is fun. The park is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do. And lots of sand. Ooh, sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So, are we going to find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Jamie! Shiloh! Hi! She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud on the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You wondered if he would leave too. Who's that? It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Jamie's age.
Yeah.
Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. Yeah. That's funny.
Oh.
Old folks area. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Yeah, Cove's trying. Cove is not actually even trying. Cove might make friends despite himself. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Jamie in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down at the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely, you didn't really know. But she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. You offered him a small smile at that, at least, looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. Beach. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you, too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Alright. Let's start with shopping. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. No, Icky, I have not beat the game. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you'd first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Maybe. Oh, hey, Laura Olympus. Yeah, I'll check that out later, Exo. Love Laura Olympus. Speaking of webcomics, I felt way behind on the webcomic Namesake, so I've started binging that webcomic from the start. Started back in 2010, so lot to get through. But I really like Namesake as well as the comic, so. There's no creep factor, Irishman. It's a wholesome game. It's sweet. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've got to learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cove first and then his dad.
Jamie!
Hi!
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Jamie? Nothing? You toed the pavement in front of you. It would be nice to tell them about the snail you found, but you didn't know if they liked snails. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Anime Boomer? Why would I be on there? Sounds fun. It does? Sounds fun. It does? You weren't sure about that. You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood. Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Great. I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. He found it odd, since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. You know what? Totally true. Who the hell uses money? Cards are just so much more convenient. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand still held out toward the green-haired boy. How woke his namesake? I would say that it's just a really good, well-made webcomic. It's just a great comic. Take care. Nope, I have no relationship with my dad, Grep. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. He followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place behind him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for shells? Cove stirred a little at the sound of your voice and mumbled a sort of. If you see any, you can let me know. You could manage that. You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any. You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times, and although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. What did you want to go to the shops for? I need a new sand pail. Yeah? What happened to your old one? Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Whoa.
It disappeared. What? Really? Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. How did that happen? Well, Cove opened his mouth, then shut it again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. Uh-huh. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. You left it there? Nope, it wasn't at the beach when I went back. Then you lost it. It disappeared.
So...
What about you? What do you do out here? I don't come to the beach a lot. You liked the beach fine, but you rarely went down without Lizzie. Today had been a special occasion. Why? I don't know. I guess I'm doing other stuff. Cove seemed personally offended by this revelation. The beach must matter a lot to him. Well, that makes sense. His name is Cove, after all. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. This music. And now you people see why I don't dance. Like, that is why I do not dance. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It's nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. He smiles occasionally, Harlem. Small smiles. He does small smiles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander! In the center of the crowd is a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read, The Amazing Alexander, in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. You bit your lip, reluctantly starting to follow Cove again. You continued looking over your shoulder, however, wanting to see as much as you could before you got too far away. Hey! Not watching where you were going proved a bad idea as you bumped right into Cove. Oh, sorry. Did you want to stay or something? If that's okay. He briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You could have said so. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely! You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared! Whoa! Cove is unimpressed. The Amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Yeah, I'm gonna back away. It wasn't enough to deter him, and the crowd of people gathered behind you made it impossible to move any further. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer, and you swallowed anxiously. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. Well, you knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend, too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. Now you are really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. At least you had a fun time. You saw a magic trick and you got a great balloon. That was more than enough to make it a worthwhile event. You thought that if you could find a card to practice with, maybe you could make it disappear too. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. No. Screw Rubik's Cubes. Walked past the place. You briefly looked over the rack of toys, thinking that they could be interesting to look at, but you didn't really feel in the mood at the moment. Cove picked up one of the kaleidoscopes and looked through, twisting the tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Not playing GTA, Icky. Did you have places like this in your old town? Cove blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much he missed that place. Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the stalls nearby. Well, that's adorable. Yeah, this is, those are adorable. Look at those little crabs. Look at those adorable crabs. While Cove looked at sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read "Handmade" standing proudly in front. Want? The sharks are cute too, actually. I like the sharks too. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. Dolphin, crab. I kind of like the shark too, though. The shark was pretty good. The shark's got sort of a goofy look. Alright. Jessica's very... I see that Jessica is very, very adamant. Harlem's... Alright. You're right, XO. Jessica is very interested in the crab. Jessica is very invested in the crab. I'll get the crab, Jessica, just for you. Your hand stopped on the crab, claws raised and a tiny smile on its face. This is a dolphin. There's some sharks here. The gray ones are sharks. It had big eyes and little legs, and the fabric was smooth when you picked it up. You had seen a few crabs at the beach before, though they usually scuttled away before you got the chance to look at them closely. You liked the idea of having a crab all your own, even if it was just a soft animal. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. I have big eyes and ears. You really had more than a $5 bill to your name. Though that changed the day you met at Cove and his dad. You still had the $20 bill Mr. Holden gave to you hidden away in your room. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you'd have to ask your moms to bring you here again one day, now that you knew what you wanted. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh, it's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. Are you sure? Cove took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. I was always going to get you something. I already got the money for it. You were a little nervous, but happy with your purchase nonetheless. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watch Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove. Yeah? Thanks for getting me it. It's alright. Hey, Bugs. No, Jessica. It wasn't clear if he really knew how much you appreciated it. What? You were going to thank him for the keychain, but instead just shook your head, smiling. Cove raised an eyebrow, but didn't push the issue. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Well, you got Chantel to get up and walk? Nice. Congratulations, Bugs. Let's get some food. Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and you got one with sprinkles. Because everybody likes sprinkles. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed your pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It had vanilla coating and 100 colored sprinkles on it, just the way you liked it. Your moms didn't like you to eat too much sugar, but this was a special occasion. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down. Those balloons are going to make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still balled-up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist. Oh. Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled satisfied. Could you help me too? I can't tie it to my own wrist. He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and a string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching in your pretzels. Pretzels feel like something... I don't know, pretzels feel like something that you can eat one-handed, easily. Even with tiny little hands. Even with tiny little child hands. I feel like you should be able to eat pretzels one-handed, you know? You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste in your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. Yeah, I've never been one for pretzels either, Harlem. I've never really liked pretzels. Actually, Icky, I think sending him to military school would make his anxiety way worse. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like they was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Mine's name is Merryweather. He's the Prince of Dolphins. He wears a crown made of seaweed, and all of his friends are merfolk. Every now and then, he'll make friends with a kid and let them ride on his back. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real dolphin like Merryweather. What's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Music just got way more emotional. Oh no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock, like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten.
Amy.
Movie go? It's a visual novel, so yeah, it's just all dialogue. Its name is Pop? That's a weird name for a dolphin. Cove glanced at you briefly, a frown on his face. I don't think it's a joke. You bit your lips, smile slowly fading. You'd been hoping that things would get better, but they didn't. Cove spent the rest of the outing sniffling and didn't say much else. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final note. What game is this? This is Our Lives, Beginnings, and Always. Bugs. It's a visual novel. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon. Not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering in blue. Another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you'd heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. The possibilities of what he might get up to made you anxious. We haven't learned about the cast now. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there, on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently, soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. Mm-hmm, and huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids.
Yeah.
There are no mermaids. There's no mermaids. I'm fine here on land. Alright. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. Sorry, Jessica. Mermaids aren't real. What is this game about? So you start as an 8-year-old. You start as an 8-year-old kid, befriending a new neighbor in your town, and then the game sort of takes place across 15 years. So you start at 8, and then it's over the course of the 15 years, you change, your relationship with characters change, all that. I'll play too. I've never really made one before.
Okay.
He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. Beach girl, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what advice to give someone. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided the two of you through his process. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now. Like, make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas. Regardless, Beach Girl, I don't even know what advice to give. Therapy is about the only advice that I can offer.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle. Cool, this is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make a castle. You decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. I think so, Sapper Girl. I think the choices, I think the scenarios you do, each moment, probably does have some influence. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You'd finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. I did not catch this. The first thing you reached for was a green piece of sea glass. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly, so you tucked it away somewhere secure inside, barely poking out to make sure it didn't get lost. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. You checked out Cove's Sandcastle. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. You must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink plaster. The silence was then broken. What's on the top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. Let's smart. You should be an architect. You'd be good at it, Shiloh. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Jamie, can I see what you did? Sure. He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. The castle you'd built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Hey Jamie, what did you do? I made a castle. Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. You both built castles?
Yeah.
That's neat how you guys match. It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. Wouldn't that be boring? If something is the only one of that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off. Again, there was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Jamie? You blinked, not expecting the question. You thought hard. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him. But you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Jamie's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's topic of choice. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. Yeah, I want to hear the end of the story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. Glad you're enjoying it, Julia. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to really get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand and then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see him anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Is that it? Cove's brow wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. You really gotta get better at telling stories. Cove didn't seem to accept the critique whatsoever. But that was how our parents met. I didn't make the story up. If you say so. Shallow's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well...
I was thinking about it because of the Sandcastle. Made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach, and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and he could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing has happened? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the situation in the conversation again. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of weird. Bugs, right now they're all child, they will grow up bugs. Like I said, it takes place over 15 years. So they will become teens and then adults. Shallow's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. That said, I say that like they grow up, but I think they're still mostly going to be boys. I think they might be mostly boys, so maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove.
Who asked you to come?
It's probably just your dad bugging Jamie's family some more because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. Ouch. Harsh. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to even mention. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering. You nervously messed with the sand. You picked up some sand and turned it over in your hands. There didn't seem to be much you could do to stop the fight, and you weren't sure what to do with yourself. Cove looked over what you were doing and started building his own set of walls. Shiloh took a breath before kneeling back down to his own patch of sand. It seemed they both decided to try playing again. You were glad for that. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach today to take him home. Cove and Shiloh had mostly followed your lead, and barely said a word. His mom standing behind him, even Shiloh's goodbye had been quiet. Friendly, cheerful, but noticeably quiet. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. You followed him as he made his way out of the sand. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near-perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Cove what he's thinking. The prospect of asking made you nervous, but you did anyway. Hey, is everything, okay?
Oh.
I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that, when I said he was all red a lot? You were being rude to him. No, I wasn't. It looked like that to me, and it wasn't just saying that one thing. You're not very nice to Shiloh. I didn't mean it like that. Shiloh was kind of weird to talk to. See? That's kind of rude. I guess I can get it. Why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly come to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. Hey, Jamie, was Shiloh telling the truth? Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second. Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot. An uncomfortable weight settled in your chest at the question. You liked spending time with Cove. You didn't even think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cove still didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. Let's see, do I tell the truth or do I... Don't know. Yeah, telling the truth seems like it'd just be... Like, I want to tell the truth because, like, people deserve to know the truth, but at the same time, nah. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Because that is also the truth. It's also true that, like, I'm hanging out with them by choice. Bye, Killface. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay is all.
Thanks.
Exactly, Exa. He initially bribed me, but I made the decision to keep hanging out with him. Thanks for telling me. Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Cove's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. No, it's not. Keeping secrets is easy. I keep secrets so easily. Yeah. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Hug goodbye. You stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him tightly. You turned your head, resting your cheek on his shoulder. Cove stood there awkwardly with his hands at his sides. He wasn't much of a hugger, but you didn't get the impression he was unhappy that you were. Hi, Kat. Bye, Cove. See you tomorrow. Yeah, bye, Jamie. You pulled away, then jogged towards your house. When you looked back, you saw Cove making his way back home, too. As if he felt your eyes on him, he turned around. He waved. You did, too. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad, or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It would be terrible if it made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? Exactly, Harlem. He's capable of being happy. You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow, after all. But for now, it was definitely something you'd keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. Alright, these moments are all pretty long. So I think I'm gonna end it here. Because this has gone on for a pretty good while. So, just shy of 2 hours. Sorry, Chef Cat. I'm enjoying the game despite all you perverts. I'm enjoying the game. Friggin' pervy ass bastards. The game is good. Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, it's cute. It's a sweet, cute story. Throat must be sore? Not really, Harlem. My throat's not all that sore. Need to get myself some water and everything, but no. But anyway, I'll continue this game next weekend, next Saturday. And I'll have a regular live again tomorrow. Probably Brooke. I mean, kinda Harlem. What about the cast? Yeah, I have no idea if we'll find out about the cast. Brooke? I'm ending the live here. I'm ending this episode here. I'll be back with more of this next Saturday. Sorry, Brooke. Like I said, I'll have more next Saturday. And then a regular live tomorrow. But for now, thanks for watching, and hope to see you all tomorrow.